so sorry.
Oh, I'm joining you. If you don't...
Thank you.
Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez had an infamously tumultuous relationship that started and ended over and over again.
Before we begin, take one small second and think about this. Have you ever loved someone so much that even after they were gone, the memory still stayed with you? Have you ever tried to smile in front of the world while hiding pain inside? If you have ever had your heart broken, felt confused in love, or struggled to let go of the past, then this story may touch you deeply. So, if you believe that healing matters, that people can grow, and that every broken heart deserves kindness, then stay with me until the end. And if stories like this move you, please support this channel by liking this video and sharing it with someone who needs a reminder that even painful endings can teach us something important. Because this is not just a celebrity story. This is a story about love, pain, mistakes, healing, and what happens when two people grow up in front of the whole world. From the outside, they look like the perfect young couple. Famous, beautiful, loved by millions. But behind the smiles, the headlines, and the camera flashes, their relationship was much more painful than many people ever realized. They kept coming back to each other again and again, only to break apart again and again. So why, even after everything ended, do people still talk about Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez? Why do their names still bring up so much emotion? And what really happened behind one of pop culture's most unforgettable love stories? Let's go back to where it all began. Long before the heartbreak, before the songs, before the emotional interviews, there were just two young stars meeting in a world that moved way too fast. Justin Bieber was becoming one of the biggest names on the planet. Selena Gomez was already loved by fans for her talent, charm, and warm personality. When they first crossed paths, people noticed right away. There was something special there. At first, it looked innocent, friendly, sweet. But soon, rumors began to grow. Fans watched closely. The media watched even closer. Then, in 2011, it became official. To the public, it felt like a fairy tale. Two young stars, two famous faces, two people who seemed to understand each other in a way others could not. People loved them together. Many thought they were adorable. Their photos were everywhere. Their names became linked as if they were one story instead of two separate lives. But sometimes, the relationships that look magical on the outside are carrying storms on the inside. And that storm was already beginning. Not long after becoming official, cracks started to show. Their lives were busy. Their schedules were overwhelming. Fame was everywhere around them. Every move they made became public. Every expression was studied. Every rumor spread like fire. In 2012, they broke up for the first time. People thought maybe that was the end. But only a short while later, they were seen together again. And that is when the cycle truly began. Break up. Get back together. Fight. Miss each other. Try again. Fall apart. Repeat. For many couples, relationship problems stay private. But for Justin and Selena, even their most personal struggles became public entertainment. That made everything harder. Imagine being young and emotional and confused, and having millions of strangers judging every choice you make. Imagine trying to figure out your heart while the whole world keeps asking questions. That was their reality. And over time, the relationship became known not just for romance, but for drama, sadness, and emotional exhaustion. Fans kept hoping they would work it out. But sometimes love alone is not enough. Sometimes two people care deeply about each other and still hurt each other in ways they do not fully understand at the time. And that may be one of the saddest truths about growing up. Years later, when both Justin and Selena had more distance from the relationship, a deeper and more painful picture started to come out. Selena spoke about going through emotional pain during that time. She shared that she felt like she had experienced emotional abuse and struggled to find her strength while living through it. That changed the way many people saw the story. Because suddenly, this was no longer just about a celebrity breakup. It became a story about pain that had been hidden behind glamorous headlines. A story about what can happen when people stay in something unhealthy for too long. A story about how hard it can be to leave even when you know something is hurting you. That kind of pain is very real. And many people watching probably understood her more than she knew. Because emotional wounds are not always visible. Sometimes there are no bruises to show. Sometimes the damage happens quietly, through confusion, instability, disrespect, broken trust, and feeling small in a relationship that once made you feel special. And when you are young, it can be even harder to understand what is happening. You may call it love. You may call it hope. You may call it trying again. But later, with time and healing, you finally find the right words for what it really was. That seems to be part of what happened here. When words are too hard to say directly, music often says them for us. And for both Justin and Selena, music became a place where emotions came out. Selena's song about moving on became, for many people, one of the clearest emotional windows into how deeply the relationship affected her. The message felt raw, honest, painful, but also strong. It sounded like someone finally closing a chapter that had stayed open for too long. Like someone finally breathing after crying for years. Like someone saying, "This hurt me, but I am choosing myself now." That is one reason the song connected with so many people. It was not just about losing another person. It was about finding yourself again after getting lost in someone else. And that kind of story touches people everywhere, because so many have lived it. Meanwhile, Justin also began speaking more openly about his past, his mental state, and the way fame affected him. He admitted he had gone through dark periods. He spoke about destructive habits, emotional struggles, and unhealthy behavior. That honesty surprised many people, because from the outside, fame looks shiny. But inside, it can be lonely, confusing, and dangerous, especially when someone becomes famous at a very young age. Justin described a version of himself that was hurting, angry, distant, and lost. And when people heard that, many started to understand that this relationship was not simply about two people falling in and out of love. It was also about two wounded young people trying to survive in a world that rewarded fame, but did not always protect their hearts. That does not erase the pain caused, but it does add complexity. And real stories are often complicated. One of the hardest parts of growing older is realizing the person you used to be. Sometimes you look back and feel proud. Sometimes you look back and feel regret. Justin openly suggested that, during those years, he was not the healthiest version of himself. He admitted that he carried unforgiveness, anger, and unhealthy habits into his relationships. That kind of confession matters, because it shows something important. People do not always understand the damage they are causing while they are causing it. Sometimes maturity comes later. Sometimes self-awareness comes after everything has already fallen apart. And that can be painful for everyone involved. It seems Justin had to learn hard lessons about love, loyalty, and emotional health. He later spoke in ways that suggested he had changed, that he had grown, and that he was trying to build a healthier life. But growth after damage is bittersweet. Because yes, healing is beautiful, but healing does not erase the past. You can become a better person later and still have to live with the truth that someone may have been hurt by the person you were before. That is a difficult truth. And maybe that is one reason this story still stays with people. It reminds us that love can shape us, but pain can shape us too. After the final breakup, life moved quickly. Not long after things ended for good, Justin was seen with Hailey Baldwin, who later became his wife. That moment shocked many fans. For some, it felt sudden. For others, it felt like the final signal that the old story was truly over. Justin appeared to embrace this new chapter fully. He spoke with joy about marriage and about the peace he found in his relationship with Hailey. He described his wife as someone who grounded him and brought stability into his life. Hailey, in turn, was described as someone who helped bring balance when life became overwhelming. To the public, this looked like Justin stepping into a new season, one that felt calmer, more committed, and more settled. But of course, because the past relationship had been so famous, comparisons never stopped. People kept bringing Selena's name into the conversation. They kept searching for hidden messages, secret meanings, old feelings. And that created new waves of drama online. At times, it seemed like even when everyone involved was trying to move forward, the internet refused to let the past rest. That happens a lot with public figures. But honestly, it happens in ordinary life too. Sometimes the world wants to keep replaying your old story, long after you are trying to write a new one. And that can be exhausting. While Justin was speaking publicly about his growth and his new marriage, Selena seemed to choose a different path. She appeared to focus on healing, self-respect, and moving forward without constantly reopening old wounds. And there is something powerful about that kind of silence. Not weak silence, not defeated silence, but peaceful silence. The kind of silence that says, I do not need to explain everything anymore. The kind that says, I have cried enough, I have learned enough, I am choosing peace now. That kind of strength is not loud, but it is powerful. Many people admired that, especially those who know how difficult it is to move on from a deeply emotional relationship. Because moving on is not just deleting pictures or avoiding a name. Real moving on is deeper. It is rebuilding your sense of self. It is learning not to chase what once broke you. It is deciding that your future matters more than your memories. And that may be one of the most important emotional threads in this story. Not just heartbreak, but recovery. Not just pain, but becoming whole again. So why do people still care so much? Why does this relationship continue to live in conversations, videos, comment sections, and songs? Because it was never just gossip. It was a story that many people saw themselves in. Some people saw their first love in it. Some saw the pain of trying too many times. Some saw what emotional harm can look like. Some saw the struggle of fame. Some saw regret. Some saw healing. And some saw the truth that not every love story is meant to last forever. Some love stories are meant to teach. That may be what this was. A chapter that shaped both of them. A chapter full of beautiful moments and painful ones. A chapter that left scars but also lessons. And maybe the biggest lesson is this. Love should not leave you broken over and over again. Love should not make you lose yourself. Love should not become a place where pain feels normal. Yes, relationships take work. Yes, people make mistakes. Yes, human beings are imperfect. But healthy love should make room for safety, honesty, respect, and peace. Without those things, even strong feelings can become destructive. That is something worth remembering, whether you are famous or not. One more part of this story stands out in a powerful way. Justin once expressed concern for younger artists going through intense fame. He seemed especially protective when talking about rising stars and not wanting them to go through the same struggles he faced. That says a lot. It suggests that when he looks back at his own journey, he does not just remember the success. He remembers the cost. He remembers the pressure, the loneliness, the bad choices, the loss of control, the emotional mess that can happen when a child grows up under bright lights with millions watching. And maybe that is one of the few good things pain can do. If a person truly learns from it, they may become more protective, more compassionate, and more aware. Pain can either harden a person or deepen them. Maybe for Justin, some of that pain became a warning he now wants others to avoid. And that is meaningful, because a lesson becomes more powerful when it turns into care for someone else. At the end of the day, Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez are two people whose story unfolded in front of the world. People watched them fall in love. People watched them fall apart. People watched them become symbols of young romance, heartbreak, and unfinished feelings. But behind all the headlines were real emotions, real tears, real mistakes, real healing. And perhaps that is why their story still touches so many hearts. Because beneath the fame, it feels human. Very human. It reminds us that some people enter our lives for a season, not forever. It reminds us that love can be beautiful and painful at the same time. It reminds us that leaving can sometimes be the bravest thing a person does. And it reminds us that growth often begins where fantasy ends. So were Justin and Selena meant to be together? Maybe once they felt that way. Maybe for a while, they were exactly what each other needed. Or maybe they were two young souls who met before they were ready, loved before they were healed, and learned through heartbreak what they could not learn any other way. Whatever the answer is, one thing feels clear. Their story was not pointless. It taught lessons about love, emotional pain, fame, regret, and moving forward. It showed that even the most admired relationships can hide deep struggles. And it proved that sometimes the end of a love story is not a failure. Sometimes it is the beginning of healing. If this story touched you in any way, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Do you believe some people are meant to stay in our hearts, but not in our lives? Do you think Justin and Selena were better apart? Or do you think their story was simply unfinished? And if you enjoy emotional storytelling like this, deep, human, and honest, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. Because behind every headline, there is a heart. And behind every famous love story, there is always more than the world can see.